Welcome. It's Josh Milliken from Dread Central, and I'm here with the cast of Smiley Face Killers. Hopefully, you just attended our free screening, our free virtual screening. If not, it's now available on VOD and DVD. And to give you a little taste of what you missed and what we're going to be talking, let's give the trailer a spin right now, first and foremost.
For 10 years, a group of serial killers stalked California's coast. During this time, police recovered the remains of multiple young men along the shore.
Devin, you home?
He told me that he stopped taking his meds and stopped seeing his doctor.
What is that?
I don't know. Some freak's been sending me this stuff.
Just seems super stressed and bummed out lately.
Fine. Karen, someone's been messing with my phone.
Did you send these to yourself?
He's going through some manic phase.
Jake?
The water wants you.
Come on.
Please, you gotta help me.
Get out of here.
Help me with the water, son.
Jake!
That was the trailer for Smiley Face Killers. It's now available to stream or to purchase on DVD, and it's a fantastic movie. I just got done watching it for the second time as part of our free live virtual stream, which led right into this Q&A. As you can see, I'm here with the extremely talented cast of Smiley Face Killers. The man who needs no introduction, Mr. Crispin Glover, who played the incredibly spooky and deformed hooded figure. So glad to have you here, sir.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Along with Ronan Rubenstein, who played Jake Graham, our poor protagonist from Smiley Face Killers. If you just watched it, I don't think you'll ever forget what this man endured in the final act of this movie. And last but certainly not least, we're here with Mia Serafino. I asked you your name and I butchered your name. I'm famous for butchering names. Why should it change now? Mia Serafino, she played Karen, Jake's girlfriend in Smiley Face Killers, a very complex and intriguing, moody film. For those of you who don't know, it's based on the novel by Bret Easton Ellis, who also wrote the screenplay. And it's directed by Tim Hunter, who many people know as the director of River's Edge, a cult film, and really Crispin's breakout film in the late 80s, mid 80s. Sorry if that's reminding people how old you are. I was in high school when it came out too, so I'm outing myself for being old too with that.
I don't mind at all. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. I mean, with that as the segue, I know because I had the pleasure of speaking with you a few days ago when we were doing some promotion for the film. But what was it like working with Tim again after all these years?
Well, it was good to work with Tim again. It was a very different sort of mode of conversation than what I had in River's Edge, because, well, that was the first time I'd worked with him, and that was I don't say anything in this film, so I had just spoken with Tim on the phone. I don't even think it was that long before actually shooting that I spoke with Tim, and I just we mainly spoke about the makeup, uh, which I went in and I met with Vincent Giuliani, who did the makeup, wanting to do like the kind of old Lon Chaney style type work where the face is actually pulled and deformed. And Vincent knew all of the techniques, and he did a great job. Uh, so in a certain way, that was my main concern, was just getting that. I trusted Tim. I'd maintained a friendship with Tim ever since working on River's Edge. So the character really, it sounds like it would be a complex character, but it really isn't. The directive is evident, and so it was just really a matter of making sure the prosthetic was working, and then trusting what Tim wanted me to do, which I did. I knew not just River's Edge, but I've seen Tim's other work. He's good with his casting. He's good with something I noticed. The way I would put it is energetic levels. He understands different types of people, or how people are going to interact well, and what the dynamics are going to be within the film, both cinematically but energetically. And I knew he would be able to do that, and he did.
Well, you definitely gave another standout performance. You definitely have a knack for playing villains that can get under your skin, even though they don't necessarily say much. And that's something that we discussed last time too. And you said you almost treat these characters as though you're acting in a silent film, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think when you don't say anything, I sort of like that actually, because then it does just have to be done well cinematically. I mean, it's more up to the director to treat it as as a silent film. But it's the second time I've had that, which the other time was in Charlie's Angels,
Mm-hmm.
both of the Charlie's Angels films. There was a film I did called Bartleby where I said very few things. I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I like not having to memorize dialogue and think about it. It makes me
Right.
much more relaxed, actually.
Well, it's just amazing that you're able to evoke such, creepiness and such dread, these really imposing characters without being loud. It's fascinating, and it's a testament to your abilities. We'll get back to you in the character too. I wanted to move on for a second and talk to Ronan Rubenstein, played Jake. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've watched Smiley Face Killers twice now. Just watched it live with our audience, and I just can't get over how much your character endures in that final act. From the moment that you're picked up in the van, you go on this harrowing experience that looks like aspects of it simply could not have been faked. Can you talk about what it was like shooting that sequence? How long did it take to shoot all those sequences, and how much did you actually endure?
I would say everything except for the knife in the neck. That's
Oh, even the arm, even the IV draining your blood.
definitely not. Sorry. So like 93%.
All right, that's still pretty intense, because you take a beating,
Yeah.
thrown over some guy's shoulder, and you were really naked the whole time.
Oh yeah, you can't fake that either. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, the duct tape was all I had. But yeah, I sort of knew that's what was asked for going into the project, and we had really long, extensive conversations about what we would need to do for this movie for it to fully work, and it's a really uncomfortable sort of I mean, it's in your face. So I knew that I would have to go all the way for it, and I've always been very comfortable with that. I've sort of shown my body in a lot of things that I've done. I don't really think it's that big of a deal, but never in this sort of way where it was also almost like physical punishment, like being strapped up to the ropes and like trying to break free. That you can't really fake that. And that was real rope, and I stupidly asked them to like tie it really tight so I could feel like all the emotions were real. But I sort of asked for it. Even when we dove out of the van, in the back of the van, it was always set up that a stunt person would dive out on top of a pad, and then I would pop up and then sprint. And I was like, well, if they're diving out on a pad, I think I could do it. And that way you could stay with the shot and never have to cut, which is in the film. So I'm really grateful that I did that. But man, I felt that film for months. Like I may have really hurt myself. I won't
And
go.
how long did it take to film that night's events? Did you do it all in one night, or did it take days to do?
We did the jumping out of the van and sprinting in one night, and then the gas station scene was a different night. So yeah, it was intense, man. But I knew that it needed that, in order for it to really work. And I thought I was in really good shape until you get fake kidnapped and get thrown around, and then have to sprint hundreds of yards. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't do it like this extreme next time.
Well, it paid off, because I tell you, I was right there with you that whole time, and I'm like cringing at every, punch, and, every aspect of it. I'm just cringing along with it. And, that terrifying moment in the gas station where you're just trying to get help to it. Plenty of cool stuff to check out. For those of you who just saw it, I'm sure you agree. Those of you who haven't are going to want to check it out. Probably watch it more than once. But I want to move on to Mia for a second. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so you play Jake's girlfriend, Karen, and it couldn't have been an easy role to play, because the relationship is a really complicated one. Without giving too much away, Jake feels like he's being stalked. He feels some uneasiness, but he's also has a history that makes his feelings kind of suspect. How did you wrap your mind around being his girlfriend? Was Tim there directing you, or did you guys kind of like work out a backstory? What was your approach to this really complicated relationship?
Well, I mean, those were the main scenes between us were my audition scenes, and they were really striking to me even that early on, because in a sense they were these young college kids, but in another sense they had this really complex relationship, and Jake dealing with you know mental illness, some paranoia, dealing with really heavy stuff in the midst of like going to a beach party and doing these normal college kid things. And yeah, I was really interested in these scenes because there's a way you have to speak to somebody you're in a relationship with about sensitive subjects and how you approach it. So you can't just like, it's not just an argument scene where you're like yelling. It's tactics. And that first scene, gently asking if he, I spoke to his mother. Are you taking your meds? Are you talking to your doctor? I mean, there's a lot going on, especially in that first scene, I thought. So yeah, I mean, we didn't have much time beforehand. I think we shot that first scene, was that our first day, second day after we got into town. But thankfully we just like right away, it was easy. We trusted each other, and yeah, we got right into it. And they did give us time while we were shooting the scenes, Tim giving us ideas and directing us, and we rehearsed beforehand. So in that sense, it was really nice to have that movie time. It wasn't like TV one and done. We we did get to play and see what was working and try it the next take differently.
Good, because you guys did find that connection. I mean, I believed in that relationship, and I'm glad you mentioned, your approach to, talking about his mental illness, because it was done with a genuine spirit. It was done in a way that felt respectful, and not exploitive. It was very well done. You were all great. Um, we were talking, Mia, you and I were talking before during the tech check, and one thing that you revealed to me, which I was kind of surprised, is that Bret Easton Ellis, the screenwriter, novelist and screenwriter, was actually on set most of the time, and I thought that was really amazing. You shared some, thoughts about your experience working with him. I want to know, Crispin and Ronan, did you guys get a chance to interact with Brett as well? And did he influence your portrayals in any way?
I didn't see Brett on the set. I had met him very briefly once in the 80s, long time ago, but that was well before this.
Mm-hmm.
So mine was just from the script itself and from Tim. But
how about you, Ronan? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Ronan?
Yep.
Yeah, he was on set a lot, and he was super supportive of us. And I'll never forget. I think it was like the first week of shooting, and he pulls me aside, and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm in trouble by Bret Easton Ellis right now." And he's like, "Ronan, do what you need with my words." And I will never forget that moment. I almost fainted at that moment to have someone like him pretty much give me this freedom to, trust my instinct and to trust what I think is the character and to run with it, while still obviously respecting his words. And I think from that moment on, it was just this beautiful collaboration of us working together and mixing ideas and after every take I would run into Video Village and be like, "Brett, was that good?" He's like, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, good." So
what an endorsement.
Yeah, seriously. So
that's similar to what you were saying, Mia, about how he wanted you to put to be really genuine in your dialogue as well. Am I right?
Yeah, I think one of the times he had to take off and go back to LA, he wanted to be there for a scene where it was me in the car talking with the girls, and he called production and wanted us to be on speaker and said, "I'm not going to pretend to know what college girls talk about when you're in a car driving to a party." So he was like, you guys just talk. What would you say? Let's discuss it. Any ideas? And yeah, so it really did feel so collaborative, which was so amazing because he's obviously such an accomplished writer. And I think, part of that is his open-mindedness and willingness to say, "I might not know exactly this specific thing. What do you think?" And it just made such a free and easy environment to create and work and be.
Well, he's such an icon. It's really heartening to hear that he was so helpful and supportive of you guys on set. It's really incredible. Let me try to bust things wide open now, because there is something I was thinking about that I thought it'd be fun to discuss with you. Smiley Face Killers is based on what some people would call a true crime theory, what other people might call an urban legend. To me, it kind of smacks right in the middle. So I'm curious, did you guys do your own research into the Smiley Face Killers theory? How much did you know going in? And did Tim and Brett encourage you to learn more as part of the process?
I only knew about it recently. I didn't even know it until just since this promotional aspect started. I only found out about it. So it's interesting to me, but I did not know beforehand.
I did my Google search, and then try to learn as much as possible about the young men that supposedly died this way. But there wasn't a ton of information And then actually last year, a documentary came out on Oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Smiley Face Killers as well.
The Hunt for the Smiley Face Killers or something like that.
That was super informative. Maybe it would have helped to have that sort of information while we were shooting, but I think we had the gist of what happened. Yeah, I mean it's pretty weird. You know, some might say it's a coincidence, but when it happens, like, you know, over 100 times, it's kind of, you really start questioning it.
So you think there's some validity to the idea that there's a serial killer or a group of killers involved in these mysterious drowning rituals?
Yeah, I agree with the theory in the documentary where it started with a group and then it's sort of turned into this copycat thing all across the country.
Interesting.
I do think somewhere along the lines, you know, probably some sick group did it somewhere. You know, it wouldn't be the craziest thing that's happened in serial killer world. So
Unfortunately, you are correct. Well, what about you, Mia? How much did you know about the Smiley Face Killers, and what do you know now? What do you think about it all?
No, I kind of just did the internet deep dive when we were shooting, and it's fascinating. I mean, there's no, like you said, it's kind of a mix between did this happen or is it urban myth, because I don't know, some of the theories are very convincing. They do a good job. But yeah, I think it's what Ronan said. Like the thing that makes the most sense is maybe it was just like this thing happened, and as we see happen with a lot of true crime stuff, there may be copycat crimes, murders that happened. But really crazy that, like, I don't know, they haven't gone down enough of a hole to like try to connect them in any real way on just law enforcement side. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, for me personally, jury's kind of out, but it's interesting to know that you know, there's a lot there, and it's very convincing at its roots. So who knows? Who knows? Watch the film, do some research, go down some Google rabbit holes, decide for yourself. Crispin, let's talk a little bit more about the prosthetics that transformed you, because it was more or less people might think, and it wasn't particularly comfortable, was it?
Well, when I first talked to Tim about it, he had mentioned something about a prosthetic, and a lot of contemporary prosthetics can tend toward looking mask-like. Of course, there's a lot of really great prosthetic work going on, so I don't mean to say it 100%, but I've always admired the kind of work that Lon Chaney did, where the actual, you know, pieces of his face or his limbs, depending on the character, were bound or pulled. I mean, the kinds of things that he actually went through, the pain he must have gone through for some of his characters. Plus, he designed the makeup himself. This one was designed by Vincent Guglielmi, who did a great job. But I had said to Tim if we could do some kind of, because originally I didn't think this character needed an actor really. I just thought it needed an interesting looking person. But Tim thought I would be helpful, add something to it, and we talked about the makeup. And I said, well, if we can do some kind of Lon Chaney actual pulling of the face, that it could be interesting. And so I went and met with Vincent, and he knew all of the tricks, which part of it entails putting like a hook, not like a fish hook, but just a hook that pulls something down, or the mouth down in one. And then there was something under my eye that pulled it down. And then I had long ropes or strings that were attached to that, because if you keep them pulled always, it really does hurt. So you can only do it for a little bit of amount of time. So they went through a piece in my neck, put under latex, so the strings are hidden, and then I would be able to hold or put onto a belt loop and have tension on it, so it gave it the effect. So that was yeah. It does. It is uncomfortable. It's part of why they don't do this kind of effect anymore. But it's worth it, and I asked for it, so I couldn't complain.
There you
But,
go. There you
but
go. Be careful what you ask for.
yeah, no, it's worth it. I'm glad it's effective, and like I was saying earlier, Tim knows good energy or what's going to coalesce into something. So without me knowing it, Tim knew it would be a good combination, which was sort of true in River's Edge, where there were different kinds of feels of the different character. And you were saying something about it, being able to be in something that, or a character that has a certain kind of feel, but ultimately it does have to do with what the writing is, the directing is, the cast is. So it's you can never do a good job unless everything that you're involved in is good as well.
Absolutely, group effort, 100%. And
That's
I mean,
right.
you guys definitely accomplished something there. I think your villain is potentially iconic. I think we'll be seeing, fan art and all kinds of crazy things popping up from this. Something else about your character, the whole gang, actually, I really liked those cloaks. There was something stylish about it. And it made me think about a lot of your characters, a lot of your villains do have this really stylish streak to it, Charlie's Angels and Willard, so many things about you, your combed hair and your style just seems to jive with people's normal preconceived ideas of what a villain should be. What do you think style says about a villain, and how do you use style to enhance your characters?
I don't know. I suppose I think about it. Although this one was really in this particular style, the wardrobe was really pre-selected. There wasn't much for me to say about it, but there's a nice cinematic element about a stylish villain. Of course, it isn't necessarily needed, but maybe I like that. But I could also see where sometimes it's good if that isn't the case. But perhaps the ones you're pointing out, or perhaps there's something in me that I generate toward that. I haven't really thought about it too much, but perhaps
That's
there's
definitely kind of a theme that I know, a common thread, no pun intended. But I did notice that you tend to play these very stylish yet creepy villains. So I wanted to point that out. Well, I'm about to bust it open for some audience questions, but before I do, I want to go back to Ronan real quick because I saw on IMDb that you actually did a short film. You wrote and directed a short film. Am I correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? It sounded really interesting. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, unless I'm touching on a touchy subject.
no, it's just it's something that I started writing when I was like 16. I think when
Oh
I started
wow.
thinking about like even trying to attempt to do this thing, and I've just been fascinated with the Vietnam War for some reason,
Hmm.
and I just started writing down these ideas of this story of a soldier that comes back from Vietnam with his best friend, and it's a white soldier and a black soldier, and sort of what soldiers went through when they went back home, and they were pretty much treated like garbage, especially the black soldier. And meanwhile they were fighting, in a jungle for, I guess, for democracy.
Wow.
And there were like 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, pretty much thrown out there. So I turned that into a short film and was somehow able to get it made. I think I filmed it when I was like 19, but
Wow.
once I slightly started getting some sort of awareness of like how movies are done and how movies, at least movies that I'm fascinated with, should be, I quickly pulled it back, and now it's my little project that I hope to turn into a feature film one day. if you were able to see the short, I don't know how. You would have to go through like the FBI, but it's definitely my little secret project that
When
I
you
hope.
turn it in, when you turn it into a feature, will you use your original short, or will you make it a complete feature on its own?
No, I think it would be the same story, because the story really resonated with me, and I always wanted it to be a feature, but I was just this 19-year-old kid, and I was like, I think I could make a short film. So I would definitely use the same sort of storyline, but obviously expand on it tremendously. Yeah.
It's very ambitious of you doing something so young and on such a serious subject. So that is interesting. You'll have to let us know how it goes if it does go the feature film route. Very interesting.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to jump into the audience questions, but Mia, one more quick thing for you, because during the tech check, you made a really funny comment about how you might not have watched Smiley Face Killers if you weren't in it because it's so brutal, but that you really like horror movies. So, which is it?
Well, I love, like, when I was really getting into having good taste in film, I one of the first films like that I saw was Rosemary's Baby, and I just
Yes.
loved how scary something could be without it being overtly scary. In fact, scarier, and how the score can contribute to that, how certain shots can contribute to that. Amazing performances, obviously, but and now with Jordan Peele, who is like, his stuff is my favorite. Get Out, I saw so many times in theaters. That wasn't that scary typically.
At its moments, for sure.
Yeah, and then I recently watched Us for the first time and was like so blown away.
Very creepy.
Honestly, like, one of the best movies I've seen in years, and I was like scared for a month after and couldn't sleep. So I like want to watch these movies, but there's always a price to pay, lack of sleep. So
There sure can be. Well, fantastic. I'm going to open it up for some audience questions now, and then we'll spend some time here. And then, I'll ask you all what you're working on now, and then we'll wrap things up before too much longer. But it's been a blast so far. And we have quite a few questions. Emma Jones asks, did the cast visit any real Smiley Face sites? Anyone?
No,
no, we did not.
All right. From Rayanne, how did you decompress after the end of each day with delving into depression and the hunting of Jake? So I guess this is for you, Ronan. How did you decompress after these really intense scenes?
Dude, I was in a weird headspace for most of that shoot. I was very lucky to have Mia and Garrett in the house. But it was rough. It wasn't fun. I was mentally and physically hurting. I think mainly what I did was just go to sleep or take a shower, and just try to shake it off. I don't like bringing my work home, but it's some days was just harder than others. But like I said, when me and Garrett were there, it was much easier to sort of escape. And they set us up with a beautiful house out in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. So we had a pool and like a big beautiful yard, and we cooked together, and I think we went out a couple of times. And one of my favorite memories was going to Speakeasy with Brett, and to drink martinis with him was definitely a bucket list of mine. So I've had I had a few moments to sort of decompress, but it was a weird headspace to be in, though.
I bet. Mia, here's one for you from Howard Gorman. It kind of asking you for a little elaboration on what we discussed before. How did you address the psychological problems of Ruben's character? And did you speak with Bret Easton Ellis about it at any point?
Yeah, I remember the first day when we were shooting that first scene in Karen's bedroom. I spoke to him a little bit about it because I was talking about. I did that scene for Brett and Tim at the audition. I was like, so what were you feeling? What? And he was like, no, it was good. Just the sensitivity to, I mean, you love this person. And I mean, I've always been kind of fascinated with that subject, with, I don't know, whether it be addiction or mental illness, and how to get someone out of that, or how to get out of that. I've always loved roles like that, and to do scenes about, I don't know, just how to deal with someone you love and getting them out of it without pitying. I mean, it's a really delicate thing to do, because you don't want to be like pitying someone, and you don't want to be reprimanding someone, and you care about them, but you want to get them to get help. So yeah, I think Ronan and I spoke with Brett, and we rehearsed the scene, and we kind of found all the peaks and valleys of, okay, I can be a little firmer here with him because it's for his own good, but I don't want to scare him away, but I don't want to pity him. So it was really fun to do that scene, because you can't really play at one note.
Right.
And you don't want to be disrespectful to, you want to make it as truthful as possible. So
Yeah, and you did a really good job, like I mentioned before too. Ronan, your Twitter fan page is blowing up for you. You're getting so much love there. Just wanted to mention it. And Crispin, uh, Vincent
Yeah.
Gustini says hi, and that
Yes.
you're the best subject he's ever had in his chair
No,
ever.
it was great working with him. Say hello back.
You can say hi right now. He's
Oh,
watching.
hi, Vincent. Yeah, you did, of course, a great job. I'm very pleased.
Yeah, he definitely did. You guys really collaborated on something fantastic there. Crispin, here's one for you. As a more seasoned actor with a generally younger cast, are there any stories or advice that you shared with your classmates? Any special moments or memories from this particular movie? That's from our Twitch
Well,
channel.
well, it was, I just, I the nature of the character was so antagonistic with a very specific goal. I was really only there quickly. There was not really a lot of interaction other than essentially murder and torture. So they, we said hello. They were nice. I was really mainly just getting the makeup on, and then the nature of the scenes is just the kind of thing you want to get it done as quickly as you can get it done. It's not the kind of thing you want to linger on, and like, so it was really just kind of getting the work done.
Cool. Well, here's something that's not really a question. I mean, it is kind of a question. It's not directed at anyone, but it makes just like a really interesting point that I thought I'd bring it to the group and get your thoughts on. Someone is saying that Brett's American Psycho is criticized for being extremely misogynistic. Smiley Face Killers is the polar opposite, I guess, right? Says someone on Facebook. What do you guys think about that comment?
I oh
No, go ahead.
oh no, I was thinking about this earlier, that I mean, I've done other horrors and I've read scripts. It's like the girlfriend is usually the slain. So saying it was like interesting to kind of play the traditionally male part of the one who gets away unscathed, So it is different in that way. It's interesting.
For sure. I think if you look at classic horror films, there's always sort of the damsel in distress, and she's always, somehow they manage to take her clothes off, and she dies a brutal murder, and there's always a shower scene. And I think there's very interesting sort of themes that Brett wrote. I mean, there is a shower scene with the murderer literally in the next room. I was very much stripped of my clothes. But I think it was sort of a flip of what we're used to, or how horror films were made back in the day. And I'm all for it. I think it's dope. And I think it should be sort of, I don't think it should be taboo. For some reason it's more taboo to show a very nude male on screen than a female for some reason. And I think it's a very tricky tricky place to be in. So I'm honored that I was able to bare my butt cheeks.
There you go. Ronan, I got a really nice comment here for you from Reagan. She just wanted to say that having gone through depression herself, she thinks she did a fantastic job displaying it in film. It's something I think is worth saying again, both in Mia's character and in your character. The idea of mental illness being a factor, but not the cause of your anxieties was just done with a lot of, genuine heart in a way that didn't feel exploitive at all. So good job on that.
Thanks, Reagan.
Yeah, good job to everyone involved. Let's see. Here's an interesting one for you, Mia. Did you like your character? At the end of the movie, a lot of people were kind of angry at her for not believing him or helping him out more than she did.
I guess I don't know. When you play any character, I mean, even Crispin, you have to find a way to sympathize with your character. You're playing the person, you never think you're crazy or doing something wrong. I actually really loved the character when I first read the script. I loved the scenes between her and Jake. I mean, I guess I just feel like they were both doing the best they could and really had chemistry and loved each other. And I guess she just didn't know what to believe. And I think it's cool. We kind of just drop into these people. The movie starts and there's not all this exposition or setup. You just kind of drop into this. And but you get a few hints, the first scene with Ronan and I about this happens all the time. There's a scene later where I say, remember when you wrote that email and you didn't even remember writing it. So I think there was like a little element of Boy Who Cried Wolf, which is what I think the script is so great. It worked in with like these killers, kind of master manipulators, doing everything in a way that's sort of made Jake seem crazy. That none of this was really, really happening to him. So I guess
Right.
I just took it as the killers did a very good job of making it seem like nothing was going on. Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's a very interesting way of putting it. Very good insight that it wasn't any a lack of empathy on the character's part, because you did show, quite a bit throughout the film, but it's just a testament to the deviousness of this smiley face killer cult. Fantastic, fantastic. One of our Twitch viewers just wants to know if each of you can give some advice for aspiring actors.
Oh man. Well,
Don't all jump in at once. Yeah, go ahead, Ronan. Or Crispin.
I always do advise class. Not everybody, it's not that everybody needs class. I personally found going to acting class very helpful. I studied straight from age 15 to 20. And it definitely helped me. Something that it's changing now. When I started being located in Los Angeles or New York, but primarily Los Angeles was very important. But it is interesting what's going on with things like this, the internet. I can't really advise on that, but I do still think good, solid training is helpful.
100%.
I agree. I feel like, oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that what Crispin said, I mean, I went to school for musical theater and then I came out here, and at first I was like, I don't want to be back in class. I just want to focus on doing TV and film out here. But then I found I needed a place to just like have an actor's gym and be doing these scenes and be around a group of artists who it's about the work, because especially now it's like everyone comes out here and they just want to be famous, and then a lot of times the work isn't great. But if you focus on the work, and it really sustains you through ups and downs of the business, and doing plays and doing Tennessee Williams and being around people who, they don't care what role you got. They care. I had the best teacher out here, Robert Carnegie. It's the Playhouse West. Jeff Goldblum co-founded it with him. It's Meisner. They've turned out so many great actors. And he's just old school New York, studied with Sandy Meisner. You'd come into class, you'd say something you booked, and he's like, great, let's see what you do in class today. Like, it was just about, the work you did every day to be a great actor. It's a lifetime thing. It's not about one big break or anything like that. It's a commitment and dedication to the craft, which I feel like is a thing that's waning a little bit. But I feel like if young people do that, you kind of really stand out, and it's more fulfilling.
Yeah, I completely agree. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's about who you know or things like that." I don't think that's true. It's very evident when people are in a casting room if somebody's serious about what they're doing, and that's why people get cast. And then you can tell too. You can tell when you're watching somebody if they're making choices and if they're serious about what they're doing. It reads right away.
You agree, Ronan? Craft is really just an integral part of it all.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't say it any better than these two, but also just I think, like, for me personally, I just always surrounded myself with it. Just whether it's studying films that I'm obsessed with, or literally studying scenes that I'm obsessed with, and just constantly learning about what it is that we do. I think if you're going to be serious about it, it'd be good to know exactly what this is, what the craft is, what even making a film is, I still do it. If I'm sort of feeling unmotivated, I'll watch one of my favorite films and just, I'll pretty much study and break down scenes that I've done hundreds of times, but it just sort of puts you back into that sort of like student mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you could ever lose that. I think if you ever get to a point of like, well, I know everything and there's not much more for me to learn, I think that's when, as an artist, you are dead. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
It's good to hear from all three of you a really unified message. Mia, one of the things that we were talking about in Tech Check as well was, using this quarantine time to do things. And, taking classes is something that we can do in this Zoom age. So I think, to the person who asked the question and anyone else who wants some advice, it sounds like maybe it's something you could start on right away just by looking at what's out there in terms of online acting resources. But no, good stuff. Crispin, Dread Central is a horror website. So this question was bound to come up. I might even be the one, bring it to the table here. I won't say. Might be a question from the audience, might be from me. But, in addition to these villainous characters you played, you also play just a really endearing character in one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I'm talking about Friday the 13th, the final chapter, where, you play just kind of the nerd who still has a little bit of game going on, trying to get some attention from the girls. And of course, everyone's asking, and I say, oh, I'm going to be, interviewing Crispin Glover. They're like, ask him about the dance in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. What can you tell us about that? Was that you? Was it improv? Was it direction? Tell us something about that crazy, wonderful, iconic scene.
It just said that there was a dance. I danced with the actress. And I asked them to put on Back in Black by AC/DC, which is not what's in the soundtrack of the film.
Right.
But that's what I was actually dancing to on when we were shooting it. Somebody at one point had put it up with that track on YouTube or something, I think, because of rights taken down. It was a strange way of dancing even to that song, but it syncopated a little more to what it was, but it was always, it was a strange dance.
Did everyone just start laughing when they called cut?
I don't know. I don't remember actually. Maybe, but I mean, we did it multiple takes, so it isn't like something I probably rehearsed it that way, and I don't recall that there was like a great deal of laughter. You always do multiple takes, so if there's something funny, it sort of wears off. It just
I mean,
becomes
it's just one of those moments that all horror fans just, it brings us a smile to our faces, a little cheer to our cold black hearts every time we remember Crispin Glover doing his dance in Friday 13th, the final
It is
chapter.
funny how much attention that gets. It wasn't really something I thought about too much, but it is something that people comment upon.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad I got a chance to ask you about it, because that's one of the things we didn't get to in our interview last week. So
Okay.
thanks for taking me down memory lane. I'm actually got a little tear in my eye just from giggling. Oh man, good times, good times. Well, listen, I'm gonna give each of you a chance, kind of talk about what you got going on now, maybe get some final thoughts on Smiley Face Killers, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So, Crispin, I know you tour, you're an author, a filmmaker yourself. What are you working on right now?
Well, I've been working on a film for many years that was. It's my third feature film that I've directed. I've been touring with the first two films since 2005, 2007. I've toured once a year throughout the year, every year. Even this year, at the beginning, I was at the Castro Theater in San Francisco in January with my first film, What Is It? I don't know when I'll tour again. I mean, I'm happy that I happen to be working on something right now. But when I'll be able to tour again, I sure hope we can open cinemas again and have theatrical experiences. That's important. I'm grateful to be working on something. But I am finishing this film I've been shooting, and for many years right now I'm doing the post-production. I was in Czech for about 9 months. I was hoping to finish before the end of the year, but I think it'll be the beginning of next year when I'll be completed with it. And then, of course, this is out now. And then American Gods, I'm in season 3 of that. Is out at the beginning of January. And but CrispinGlover.com is where people can find out about my own film work and when I'll be touring and what's going on with those things.
Fantastic. CrispinGlover.com. Ronan, what are you up to? What are you working on these days?
911 Lone Star, we're shooting our second season.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I literally sped home from work in order to make this. So thanks.
Oh, nice. Well, we're sure glad you did.
But yeah, that comes out January 18th on Fox at 9 p.m. And it's gonna be insane. Like, if people thought season 1 was big, this is like, they did not hold back with all the new COVID regulations. It's been pretty incredible to see happen because it's such a huge show with a lot of effects and a lot of people. You know, at any day we can have over 150 extras, and they've with all the testing protocols and all the cleaning supplies and everybody in masks and face shields. It's been unbelievable to see. You know, it's pretty much like any production that's working during COVID. It's historic. You know, it's a new way of working. So to be able to luckily be in it and to see it sort of unraveling, it's unreal. And we definitely did not hold back. So in January, people will see.
Fantastic. Mia Serafino, what are you working on these days?
Nothing I can talk about right now.
Oh, those are sometimes the coolest ones.
But I can talk about, I'm kind of developing my own stuff for the first time, stuff I'm writing. So I'm working on pitching for that, and that's just been so amazing. It's something I've always wanted to do. And so yeah, just like learning about that and to being on the other side of the table for that whole process. It's been really cool.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a really fun time. You know, Crispin, you're such a talented actor with such an extensive filmography. I really feel like you're an icon of the genre. So having a chance to chat with you in this format is really great. Ronan and Mia, you guys have so much talent. You really put your hearts into Smiley Face Killers, and it shows. Anyone who watches this movie is going to be able to tell that. I think you guys both have fantastic careers ahead of you. It's been really nice being able to gather with you guys. Why don't you leave me just with some final words about Smiley Face Killers, what you're most proud of, what you hope people get out of it? Mia.
Yeah, I think it's this a really interesting, different kind of horror film. You said it before. It's very moody. It's a quiet horror film. Well, not the end. um, but yeah, I think there are some elements of those old 70s horrors that I love, like Rosemary's Baby. The soundtrack plays such a big role in it. The Lisa Madonna did the wardrobe. I know it seems like a small thing, but I thought she just nailed the mood of the film. I think it just comes together as a whole little world, and I had so much fun doing it. I've loved the project from the second I got the script in my email, and so it's been so great to go from that to filming it to this now. So I'm so excited for everyone to see it.
Oh, fantastic. We are too. Ronan, final thoughts on Smiley Face Killers?
Yeah, everything Mia said, and we were sort of all thrown into this place in Nevada and made this thing that everybody can watch now. And from watching it, you can see that everyone truly cared about what they were doing, from the crew to all aspects of production to the actors, writers, directors. And it sort of, at least for me, sort of felt like we were this like strange family in the middle of the desert, and we're able to just truly work on the craft of filmmaking, which is at least how intimate and personal it was. I think it comes rare. So I'm very grateful for the experience, and I hope I get to do something like that again. But I will forever cherish this film, and I will definitely forever cherish this character. And I'm just so relieved that people can finally watch it, because it's been a little while. So it's just a lot of gratitude for sure.
Well, this is just the beginning for you, my man, and congratulations on the film. You did a stupendous job. Mr. Glover, any final words for us on the Smiley Face Killers panel?
Yeah, because I worked with Tim Hunter so long ago, and now it's part of having worked with him before on a film I'm proud of. I'm proud to be in this film, working with all the various people, with Mia and Ronan and Vincent, and to be in a good screenplay written by Bret Easton Ellis. It's something that's a pleasure, and I'm glad to be a part of.
Yeah, well, we're so glad that you guys were able to make it tonight. We're so glad that you guys worked on Smiley Face Killers, because it's a really, really satisfying, intense horror experience. Can't thank you enough for being here. Other people I want to thank: the Frida Cinema and Horrible Imaginings Film Festival partnered with us for the virtual screening we put on before this. My entire team at Dread Central for backing me up on this, for helping with the promotion. Lionsgate for distributing such a great film, and for collaborating with us on this panel. It's been one hell of a time. Smiley Face Killers. You can see it now on VOD. You can pick it up on DVD, add it to your collection. I've been in here with Crispin, Ronan, and Mia. We've had a fantastic time. Thank you all for being here, and go see Smiley Face Killers. Good night.